In this video, we're going to do two things. First, we're going to have a little fun by printing Lucy in the sky with diamonds. And then, maybe more usefully, we're going to look at a routine that prints the score of a game in the sky and then can update it and so on. I use that in Grandma's Chickens. Okay, let's just run this little program to see how this works. Okay, we're running Lucy in the, there it is. You have to be facing east in order to see it. There it is. Okay, in order to see which direction I'm facing, I use a sunflower because sunflowers always face east. And yes, it is facing east and I'm behind it, and the L starts exactly where I am and it prints to the right. Now let's look at the code to see how this is done. So we have the little chat command Lucy, and then I always put a say at the beginning and the end of my programs because when I type Lucy, it doesn't always start. Well, that may be because I forgot to hit the green button to have it start. And there are other reasons which I find mysterious that can sometimes happen. So I'm confident only if it tells me that it is running. Okay, we're going to print Lucy in the sky relative to the player world condition. And then we're going to we use the print command, which Lucy in quotes is what to print. We have a diamond, we selected diamond, and then we tell the position where we want it printed. So I'm using origin, which I set up here to the player world position, but I'm adding to that 50 east, 5 up, and none south. The advantage to doing this instead of saying using player world position here instead of origin is that the player might have moved depending on what the program is doing. So it's best to, drive a stake in the ground where you start, and then everything can be relative to that instead of wherever the player feels like moving. Now, the hardest part of the print block is the along phrase. So you need to think of yourself as facing some direction. I like to face east because that simplifies lots of things. And then if I print from the south, if I print from where I am to the south, that would be to my right. In other words, the Lucy will read left to right. Well, what if I actually change this to north? Let's see what Lucy does. I'm going to move over somewhere else to a clean field. See, that wasn't that cool. Instead of flying over here, which takes forever, then I'm going to type Lucy. Sure enough, there's Lucy backwards. It's in other words, so if I were way on the other side of Lucy, I could see it then if I looked to the north, which would be behind me where I am now. Okay, let's move again. And that was really fun, but let's go on to something that is more useful. I find that in my games, I usually want to keep score. Now you can print out on the log what the score is, but that is just singularly unexciting. So I like to print my score in the sky, kind of like a scoreboard. So here I have a little function that I've written called print score. And I do it as a function because then I can move it to different programs without changing anything. So the run command, what it does basically is set up the variables that print score needs and then calls it. So let's look at the run command first. I have a say at the beginning and the end, as I've explained before, and then I call the original place where the player is. I'm going to call that center. I might have called it origin, but I didn't. And so I remember where the player started, and then 5 times, I want to test it with 5 different scores because the score will be updated as the game runs. Score is a random number between 0 and 100, and both endpoints might be selected. And then I set score, and then I call print, call the print command. Now let's look at print quickly. First, I need to, because print requires a text variable, I set text score to score.string. Now that looks very peculiar. I could tell you about this. There is a trick. So I don't fully understand this, but under positions, there is a way to do this just in blocks, and we're going to set text score to, sorry, did the wrong thing. That was to, this was designed to set a position, which is a three coordinates to a string, but I found that I can change it to that. Now, so this sets text score to score, which is a number, and converts it to a string, which is what print needs. Now, what will happen, I'm going to delete this. I think actually I'll just remember it. I'll put it out here and then delete it. Interestingly, as I run this program and I close it and I open it up again, and maybe I look at it in JavaScript and then I come back again, and this line of code will mysteriously change to the JavaScript. So I don't put the JavaScript in there, it just eventually becomes that. They both work. It doesn't seem to make any difference. Okay, so then I also like to print out the score to the log window. And then here is the print command. I'm going to print the text score, but what would happen if the score was 100 in one case, and then the next score, for whatever reason, was 7? Well, it would end up being 700 unless I put these spaces here. And the spaces would wipe out the 0 zeros that had been there before. I'll show you this in a minute. I'm going to print with diamonds just because I like them. And as I explained in print score, this says from the center, which is where we started, I want to print 40 to the east, 5 up, and I'm going to move it over about -5 from where I'm standing. This is so that it kind of centers on me as opposed to being right in front of me. So let's try running this program. These are random numbers that are being generated, and the function is being called with several numbers. First one was 78, then 71, then 95. I wish I would get a 1-digit number so you can see how it erases the old second digit. Come on, 1 digit. Ah, a 6. See there? Cool. Okay, then a 27, Now in the code, because you want to thoroughly test your code, I have a little segment here where I can replace the repeat loop, or I could put it before the repeat loop. So what this does is it sets the score to 100, then calls print score, sets it to 8, then calls print score. So that lets us see again. Okay, move. Okay. Now it's going to print 100. Now remember, I am facing east, and the score is being printed to the east, but it's out in front of me 40 blocks. It's over to the left just a smidgen, and I think it's 5 blocks high. Okay, now it's going to go into some random numbers, random scores. Okay, that is print score. Enjoy using it.